Hi, my name is Kim DuPont-Madinier. I was recently on a Fulbright Research Fellowship in Mongolia from 2017 to 2018. And throughout my year-long project, I was studying the possibility of being able to develop energy-efficient gears for the gear areas of Ulaanbaatar because of the air pollution problem here. So actually what you see behind me is the passive gear, which was the initial concept behind the project. I spent the first couple months researching previous air pollution initiatives in UB, and then I lived in the gear districts throughout the month of December with 3 different families at a time, 1 week at a time. Afterwards, from January onwards, was the design development, iteration, insights collection based off of, what designs families preferred or didn't, and also what local experts as well as foreign experts thought would be the best outcome. So the construction began in September of 2018 and finished around the end of October, early November, and the family's been living in the passive gear ever since. So right now we're entering the warmer season, and we're understanding more about what were the utilities bills, why was it so high, what design ideas in terms of energy efficiency worked well and which ones didn't. The goal is with NSP Architects, who's the architect who designed and developed the energy assessments of the initial design, is now doing a second iteration, and Gund Investments is our major partner, and they're actually interested in building 13 more, so we're really excited. So some of the features that make the passive gear energy efficient is that it's significantly more insulated. You have 40 centimeters of Mongol basalt wool. They were very kind, they provided that donation, and we're very grateful. In addition to that, there's an air barrier on the exterior between the exterior PVC membrane, which is the gray membrane that you see here. And there's also, there should be a vapor barrier on the interior as well. And it basically allows for proper energy and moisture management, because if the wall starts to have water condensation on the interior, it actually reduces the overall energy performance. So today in a traditional gear, what happens is that because the wall assembly isn't airtight and also doesn't have kind of that appropriate sequence of layers, there's actually a lot of water damage that happens throughout the season, and it's why people today in the gear areas actually have to take apart their gear, air out the felt in order to prevent mold growth because of the moisture damage, and then they put it back on. And they even, move the vapor barrier from its position in summer and spring to its position in fall and winter. And because families understand that's how you can mitigate moisture damage throughout the seasons. So we're very fortunate because there actually is a future for the project. We're incredibly grateful because that wouldn't be possible without NSP Architects and Gund Investments, as well as EcoTown. GearHub was my initial NGO partner when I first arrived, and as I started doing research and understanding the different partners in UB, I developed relationships with EcoTown, which was incredibly important because they enabled me to connect me with people in the gear areas and live with families in the gear areas in a safe environment. For the future of the project, NSP is committed as being a leader in sustainable design, and Gund Investments is also committed in developing a portfolio of energy efficient homes for the gear areas. So they currently have a project called Project Kale, which is an energy efficient bastion that's designed to meet all of the requirements for the Mongolian Finance Corporation's criteria, so that it's affordable, energy efficient, and can meet all the mortgage loan requirements that are actually suitable to the local middle income household. And the passive gear is also supposed to meet those requirements as well. So that enables Gund Investments to have a an energy efficient bastion that they can offer clients, as well as an energy efficient gear that they can also offer clients if they're interested. So the family so far has been really happy. They've really enjoyed the fact that they're no longer burning coal. The fact that they have modern amenities now inside their home. They have an electric stove and an oven. They have a bathroom. And while there are certain challenges that we discovered throughout the winter, like the septic system burst one of the pipes burst because it wasn't dug deep enough and it froze and expanded. We know that we can easily resolve those issues, and we will be doing so before the end of August this summer, because Tuya is expecting another baby, and she has said a lot of good things in terms of really enjoying kind of this modern amenities that was the reason why her and her husband moved to the Gare areas to begin with. So some of the kind of social environmental issues that this project is aimed at addressing is obviously the air pollution in UB, which is caused by families heating their homes by burning coal. So by building a home that's energy efficient and so energy efficient that it requires a very low heating load, you actually are able to create a sustainable housing product for families to use electrical heating, but at a lower price than you would if it was just a traditional Gare with electrical heaters where you have all this energy loss everywhere. And I think the long-term impact, this is much more of a Bashan-like Gare because it's permanent, because it has a septic system, and because it's designed for an urban context. But one of the things that I actually find fascinating is that in Mongolia everyone understands how to build a Gare because it's so ingrained in the culture. Even if you don't necessarily live in a Gare, like the components are all very well understood. And it's very rare in societies around the world that everyone actually understands how their home is built. And I think that there's so much potential in terms of the traditional Gare because the components are so light that you don't have to be a man, and you don't to be able to kind of do that kind of labor because it's not heavy. So there's a huge potential in terms of women in the community being able to take on this building practice and do local retrofits, for example, to Gares in order to do it comfortably, while for example, if men are doing construction work or working for different mining companies or et cetera, women who have to stay home and care for their kids could actually work together to do these maybe retrofits to Gares in UB and start to disseminate that building science knowledge and good building science practices much easier. And so I feel like that would be the kind of dream in the long term, but that's clearly a bigger project. I don't know if I can speak to what the market interest would be for the passive Gare outside of Mongolia. One of the things that's really interesting that I learned as I was doing more research about the Gare and what's known in the West as a yurt is that there's actually this big kind of underground hippie community that really likes the yurt. I think often it is more appreciated in its more traditional form. The irony is that the reason why it works so well in the context of Mongolia, and specifically in the context of a nomadic way of life, is that you're constantly taking it apart and putting it back together, which is actually what its ideal performance is. And the irony is that when I've heard of people trying to take a traditional Mongolian Gare and install it in somewhere like Boston, it doesn't work very well because they don't know that you have to take it apart and air it out. They don't know that you have to kind of change the way you install the different layers of the assembly for it to last as a permanent structure. But there's definitely a lot of kind of niche companies today that offer a yurt-like home, and I'm sure you can Google names today that do that, yeah.